Hello, I'm Michael Heath for the Courtless Divorce. I'm not an attorney. I do not dispense legal advice. However, I am passionate about informing the public about the alternatives to divorce litigation. It often happens to me that a spouse will tell me that their marriage is failing, but that they could never end their marriage through a courtless divorce. You know what? They might be right, but oftentimes they're not right. They just think that they couldn't do it. Now, a courtless divorce, just to remind everyone, is that it's when a couple tries to end their marriage prior to ever filing any paperwork with the court. This would be a typical way would be early stage mediation. Some people call it voluntary mediation or private mediation, but that's actually going to a mediator prior to ever filing with the court. Another situation would be using collaborative attorneys. Collaborative attorneys are especially trained to use a solutions-based approach, and so it's very close to mediation, but the collaborative attorneys are in the room helping the couple and guide them through the negotiation process. Another situation would be arbitration, and then also do-it-yourself divorce and assisted do-it-yourself divorce. So like I said, there are cases where even though courtless divorce is very favorable because it's people can save a lot of money and a lot of time, it's more amicable, it's private, but in certain circumstances they cannot end their marriage through a courtless divorce. One situation would be with domestic violence. There's always a danger of somebody getting hurt or even killed. So in that situation, a spouse would want to get an attorney as soon as possible and even contact the authorities. Another situation would be the threat of absconding with the children. It's fairly rare, but it does happen, and we've all heard the horror stories of a spouse taking the children to a foreign country where we don't have diplomatic relations, and they can't get the children back. So if there's any threat that could happen, then courtless divorce is totally disqualified. Even if there's a threat that the spouse may abscond with the children domestically, that's even then. The spouse who feels this threat would have to should get a traditional matrimonial lawyer as soon as possible. Another situation would be when there's mental illness or substance abuse. A spouse that's suffering from either one of these afflictions is not going to be able to negotiate for themselves. So courtless divorce is not going to work, and they're going to need to have a traditional lawyer to advocate for them. Another situation would be severe imbalance of power. If one spouse is very aggressive and the other one is sort of meek and mild, the imbalance of power might be so severe that negotiations are not going to be fair. Now, of course, mediators and collaborative attorneys are trained to see these imbalances of power, and so usually there is some sort of imbalance of power. But when there's a severe imbalance of power, sometimes the mediators and the collaborative attorneys can help level the playing field some. But if it's very dramatic, then maybe one of the spouses who feels very intimidated by the other spouse may feel that they need a traditional matrimonial attorney to advocate for them. Circumstance where courtless divorce is not a good approach would be in dissipation of assets. If money's flying out the window and the spouse, one of the spouses doesn't know where it's going, then there's that's a very dangerous situation. If the money disappears, usually the judge can't get the money back. So, if money's disappearing and the spouse doesn't know where it's going, then that spouse really needs to get a traditional matrimonial lawyer, and it's possible that they might have to take action to freeze assets to prevent any more money from going away. Lastly, contrarian position. I mean, it takes two to tango. So if one spouse is just absolutely against the idea of maybe against the idea of getting divorced, or against the use of a courtless divorce method of ending the marriage, then that would, of course, disqualify any hope of using a courtless divorce. And so the spouse who does want to get divorced will have to get a traditional matrimonial attorney and file for divorce. So those are situations where a courtless divorce is not going to work. Now let's say the spouse says, well, my husband and I, or my wife and I, we argue all the time. Well, that's not unusual. I mean, if you're thinking about getting a divorce, you're not usually going to get a divorce when you're all lovey-dovey and getting along all the time. So if you're arguing all the time, just not getting along, then a courtless divorce could really work. And what I usually say to a spouse that says that to me is that it's not unusual that spouses who are looking to get a divorce are arguing all the time. And I always say that, there's a lot of divorce mediators out there, and there's a lot of collaborative divorce attorneys out there. So obviously it's working for a lot of people, or they wouldn't exist. The other thing I like to say to a spouse that might think that courtless divorce has to be ruled out, I often say, look at all the things that you have done together. You planned a wedding together, you had children together, you raised those children together, you bought a house together, you planned vacations together, you went on those vacations together, you may even run a business together. So you've done a lot of things together. Why not consider the fact that the ending your marriage is something that you can do together as well too, rather than just turning the whole situation over to lawyers who are basically strangers, people that you don't even know, and they're going to then negotiate your future. What you probably should be doing is negotiating your own future. So it takes some work. I'm not saying it doesn't, but there's definitely some real advantages. That one, you're in control of the ending of your marriage. It's usually a lot less expensive. It's private. It's more amicable because you're actually working together rather than fighting it out through the litigation approach. And usually you can wrap it up a lot faster than when you go through the long, protracted traditional divorce method. So those are my points about courtless divorce. Just because you're not getting along doesn't mean you can't end the marriage together. And so, like I said, mediators and collaborative divorce attorneys are well trained in helping the couple, helping guide the couple through the divorce process. So that's my take on that. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you want more information about courtless divorce, go to my website, thecourtlessdivorce.com. You could purchase my book there. My book is The Courtless Divorce. It's available on the website in both a printed book and downloadable PDF. Or you can go to Amazon, where it's available as a print book and as an ebook. If you like what you've seen here, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you again.